Hello everyone. So today I decided to make a video to speak out on something that I talked about in a recent video. So in a recent video I had said that I had died and experienced the afterlife, or what I had assumed to be the afterlife. So I decided to make a video talking about the experiences that I've had. So before I had said that I like to keep an open mind because I believe all possibilities hold the possibility of being true. So, because of that, I've actually experienced a lot of things. The one that I experience mostly is it's what happens in Nazi zombies, basically. It's like a loop. So, it's when you die, and then you're sent back to a timeline where you're alive, except for slight changes here and there, so so you're able to see that it's not the same timeline as you were on before. And then basically I noticed that other people experience this too, except for that they just call it the Mandela effect. And while that is a thing, I believe that there's something more to it. I believe that people are experiencing the Mandela effect because they're dying and getting sent to an alternate reality. And then since so many of us are being sent to the same alternate reality, we all just happen to share the same memories, and so we created the Mandela effect as a label for the phenomena that we're experiencing. So that's one of the experiences. That one happens most often, but it hasn't happened recently, thank goodness. So I haven't really experienced changes in history as of late. But then again, I haven't been looking. Alright, so another possibility that I've experienced is hell. Basically, and I'll talk about this experience in a future video because it's a really long one. It involves both heaven and hell. So I'll just start with hell because that's where it started. So first, I killed myself, but that's a that's a story for another video. And as I was just laying there dying, the room was starting to go black all around me, and then all I could see after a certain amount of time was my clock, and it was a digital clock. So it did that thing like in the horror movies where the number jumps out of the clock, and then it just scared the bejeebus out of me. So I closed my eyes as tight as I could, and I started praying. So, I know it sounds silly. But, so I was just laying there praying, and then eventually I didn't feel my body anymore. And when I opened my eyes, it was still pitch black as if my eyes were closed. And then as I was trying to make out anything within this black void, I noticed that right in front of me, 6 eyes were starting to appear. It was weird. 6 eyes manifested, and then once they appeared in front of me, a 7th third eye appeared in the middle of them. And I know it's not technically a third eye, but I'm just calling it a third eye because it was in the middle of all 6 eyes, and that's what it reminded me of at the time. So in hell, I was basically tormented, and then I had to basically go through everything that I had ever done to anybody, in my entire life. So everyone I wronged, I had to experience what I did to them through their perspective. And that went on for about 3 eternities until I got the message, and then after that, the darkness disappeared, and in its place was a white void. So they're both still voids, but since it was a white void, I guess my consciousness didn't feel as afraid of the space that I was in, since it was lighter than dark. So as I was just wandering this white void, these little creatures appeared in front of me. I want to call them imps, but I'm not sure what they would be considered. They look like tiny little demons, but not evil demons. They look like mischievous imps. That's why I call them imps. I'm looping here. Alright, so basically, these guys told me that they were the guardian of hell, and that they were the creature that was speaking to me and putting me through all the torment. They let me know that they were that being, and that they were me, and that I am them and I am the being. So in turn, I am everything in the universe, and they're everything in the universe. So it was a whole other lesson after the first lesson. Then after I understood that lesson, they sent me up, which leads me to the third possibility, which is heaven. So, in heaven, I experienced even more possibilities. So, he didn't give me the option to stay, although I know I could have chosen that option. He just didn't, say it out loud. And then he asked me if I had any questions. I said no, because in that space, I felt like I had all the answers that I needed. So I just wanted to go back to my body, and then he's like, you can't do that. You're dead. You had to choose something else now. So I experienced reincarnation. First, I became a bird. Like, I was watching myself push carts, because, like, that was my job at the time. So that also helped me figure out that time isn't how we perceive it within this dimension, but that's a story for another video. So, after that, I decided I didn't want to be a bird, so I reincarnated as a fish because I loved swimming. And as a fish, I was just enjoying my life in the water, just swimming about, doing nothing. And then I didn't want to do that, so I quit out of that. It dissipated right before my eyes, and then I became a tree. I was just sitting there, and then, like, so much time passed as that tree, but then I decided that wasn't for me, so I became a blade of grass. And then, like, I was just a blade of grass just standing there in the breeze, just letting the breeze hit me. And then I got bored of that, so when I got back to heaven, I was like, can I go back to my body? God was like, no, you can't. Like, you died. I mean, I could let you try, but you won't succeed. And then I was like, all right, I'll try. So he let me go back to my body, but I couldn't move any of my limbs, and I couldn't blink my eyes, so they were just stuck open. Which is weird, because I don't remember opening my eyes. I remember keeping them closed the entire time because I was so afraid. But here I was laying with my arms, like, my arms spread out, my legs just dangling off the bed, and my eyes just staring at the ceiling. And I got shot back into heaven, and then God said, see, you can't get back. So what do you want to do now? So I kept saying that I wanted to go back, and then he let me try 5 more times, making 6 total. So 6 times I failed, and then the last time I was in heaven, he was like, so what do you want to do? And then I was like, I really just want to go back to my body. So he was like, you can try, but like I said before, and like you've seen, you won't be able to go back. So this time, the 7th time, I was in the body, but I managed to latch onto my fingers, and I was able to move them. And then moving my fingers got me to, like, latch onto my arms, so I was able to, like, sit up and get out, like, away from the bed. And then, like, it just felt like if I got away from the bed, I'd be safe. So I was just away from the bed, and I just started moving around, just breathing, and just making sure that everything was all right. And everything was all right. And I managed to latch back onto my body, and here I am now. So I'm not sure if God was saying that I couldn't go back, or if I shouldn't go back, and he was just trying to convince me not to go back by telling me that I couldn't, or if it was a test and he was just testing me to see what my will would be, to see if I had the willpower to even go back, or if I would just give up and quit. But regardless, I'm here now, and I'm thankful for life. That was the most real experience out of all of them, because I got to experience something outside of reality rather than just transporting to a different timeline. Eek. Well, those were my stories. There's a lot more. Like, whatever you believe is possible so long as you believe it's truly possible. And since I know that, I can't bring myself to, like, not believe anybody else's beliefs anymore. So that's why I have a problem with, like, people not tolerating each other's beliefs, because, like, dude, their beliefs are just as real as yours. Like, just because you don't believe their beliefs doesn't mean that their beliefs aren't believable. But it's fine. What can you do? Well, you all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.